Hello, Aidan.
Some injury news, please.
Well, Gary Cahill's injured, unfortunately. He hasn't recovered from the hamstring injury. But apart from that, it's the ones that we talk about every week. They are long-term injuries, so we only have Gary unavailable of the players we thought we might have available.
How much of a difference will it be having Christian Benteke available again, and he's looking somewhere close to his best prior to that suspension?
Yeah, I'm hoping he'll carry on where he left off at West Ham before his chances of playing for us were curtailed. I'm certainly will be looking forward to going back to Aston Villa where he had such success, and he is in a good vein of form, so I'm hoping that will help us get back to the results we had before the last one.
How concerned are you about the current pandemic situation? Well, it seems to be moving every day. There's at least one new strain of the virus. We possibly see postponements over Christmas, so probably we'll have to have more testing. Does it make your job specifically any more different or any more difficult?
Well, it's a very good question, Aid. I don't know that I can definitely link it to making my job more difficult, but we are very concerned because it's pretty obvious with all the cases we're seeing now and people not being able to attend matches or be involved in matches because they or a family member have contracted the virus. We're seeing matches postponed because there are pandemics and training grounds having to be shut down and teams not being able to fulfil fixtures. So it's obviously a very, very concerning time, but I think we have to be very careful as football managers, lamenting too much, because I think we've been very well looked after during this time. I think it's been fantastic that we've been able to carry on with our job, doing the thing that we love doing, the incredible amount of testing that we've been given, and which has given us a lot of sort of security, if you like, and confidence that we're going to be okay. So if you start lamenting anything, I think I will be opening myself up to a lot of criticism from the public at large, who are suffering enormously from this virus in so many ways that we aren't.
Just looking at the last result, Roy said it's an experience you never really had before previously. I remember Sir Alex Ferguson saying years ago the most effective way to recover or try to recover from a heavy defeat is to try and park it and move on. Can it ever be that simple, do you feel? Do you feel that possibly it can have an effect on players' confidence?
Well, I mean, I think all results have an effect on confidence. Narrow wins and narrow defeats, let alone heavy ones or big ones. I think Alex is quite right. I think that's the only thing that you can do. And I think it depends upon the actual game itself. I've had plenty of heavy defeats in the past, not by quite as many goals, but there's been a few 4s and 5s along the way that I can remember, even recent ones, 4 and 5-0 defeats. And some of them have been very concerning because the way the team played or the things that we weren't capable of doing or trying to do were obviously things that I and my coaching staff couldn't accept. That actually wasn't the case against Liverpool. It was really a case of being hit by a fantastic team, having a wonderful day, and in particular scoring very, very good goals along the way. So the defeat's painful. We can do nothing other than park it. But in terms of, I'm asked, what lessons do you learn? To be honest, there weren't that many lessons there to be learned because we didn't lose 7-0 because we were pathetic on the day. We lost 7-0 because they were so good. And the one thing we possibly could be accused of is at half-time not accepting with humility we're going to lose this game, so let's keep the score down. We could have made a mistake, if you see it that way, in trying to get back into the game and continue trying to play against Liverpool as we've done in the first half.
So the big improvement from Villa this season, I mean, you mentioned to me back a few months ago that you were quite keen in persuading Jack Grealish to commit to England a few years back. Are you surprised that his level has risen substantially this year, both for club and country?
Well, I always believed in him. I mean, obviously it's very difficult going back 5 years, to a much younger Jack Grealish and someone really just starting his rise to the top. I've been impressed by the constant improvement over the years, and in particular the last 2 seasons. I thought last season he was very good and showed a different maturity and level to his game, and if anything he's kicked on, as you rightly say, even further this year. So now he's the first name on everyone's lips, I suppose, when you're preparing a match against Aston Villa, because he's somebody you know you're going to have to try and stop or at least limit the good things he's going to do during the game.
Probably a difficult market for everybody at all levels of the game in next month's transfer window, Roy, but do you expect to be active? Do you expect to, or do you anticipate losing anyone? I think you've got a few out of contract in the summer.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that could happen, Aidan, you're quite right, but we haven't actually had a lot of discussions about that. You know, the discussions have really been, I want to say en passant, but as you pass by, we've maybe had discussions, but we've not sat down and seriously thought, well, what do we need to do in this transfer window? Because to be honest, we have a good squad at the moment and a big squad, so you know, you don't want to keep piling players on top of players. But of course, in every transfer market, a Premiership club like ours has got to be alert to any possibilities that come our way, and alert to the fact, as you rightly point out, that there are players whose contracts are running out, and there's going to be the big decisions to be made about extending their contracts or accepting that they're going to be moving on and leaving a gap in the squad. Thank you. Thanks, Aidan. And to you too. Have a good one.
Thanks, Aidan. Okay, we'll go to Paul Goldstone from PLP.
Thank you very much, and hi Roy, thanks for
Hello,
doing
Paul.
this.
Pleasure.
Sorry to hop back to the last results again, but you mentioned straight after the game it would take a couple of days of breathing to recover from it. I wondered if those 2 days, or the start of this week, was as tough as you feared.
No, it wasn't tough, because with the 2 days that I referred to were away from the club. We had those 2 days off after a busy period, so we didn't meet again until the third day, and by that time we were back in the mode of getting on with our training, doing the things we always do and preparing for the next game. I don't know, I should have used the word grieving. I think that might be a mistake in today's climate. It was a word that came to mind, but it might not be a particularly well chosen word, because there's a lot of people who are doing some serious grieving, and grieving over a football result. I would be laying myself open to the claim that if that's the worst that's going to happen to you, that you've got to grieve over a football result, then you're a very lucky man.
Well, how about lifting confidence? Your last trip to the Midlands, you scored 5 at West Brom. Is there any benefit in reminding the players of that in the build-up to a game at Aston Villa, or is that too simplistic and even transparent a tactic?
Yes, yeah, I'm afraid it is. West Brom are West Brom and Aston Villa are Aston Villa. The two have got nothing at all in common, and the fact that the Midlands is a place where sometimes you go and get a result and sometimes you don't, that's part and parcel of every footballer's life as well. So everything we talk to the players about will be in relation to what we think is necessary for us to get a good result in this Aston Villa game, what we need to do when they've got the ball and when we've got the ball, and making certain that we maximise our strengths and negate their weaknesses. It's the same every week, just a different opponent, and the important thing in terms of confidence is that I don't think the players should lose confidence over the Liverpool game. They should be disappointed, and their professional pride should be hurt, because we lost by a lot of goals. But the 3 games before that we played extremely well, and there were periods in the Liverpool game where it wasn't the fact that we were playing unbelievably badly, it was a question of Liverpool playing extremely well and taking their goal chances in the way they did and scoring such good goals.
I have another irrelevant stat, but you've won more away games or more Premier League games against Aston Villa than any other side. I just wondered.
Who? Crystal? Do you mean Crystal Palace? Crystal Palace.
You yourself.
Oh, well, I've never.
40 games, most wins against Villa.
I've never played against them.
Oh, sorry, as a manager.
As a manager, well, I'm being facetious. What I think I'm trying to say is managers don't play. Teams play. I might have been fortunate enough to have 1 or 2 good clubs along the way that have played well and have got a good result, for which I'm very grateful. And the one I remember, if you want one, just as an anecdote, of course, was the my second game at Blackburn Rovers when I came back from Inter in 1997, when we'd won the first game, a very close game against Derby County at home, 1-0 on my 50th birthday, and the second game was a midweek game at Aston Villa, and we went there and won 4-0. So I remember those two games very, very well, but I'm sure there are lots of others that I don't remember, and there are plenty, I guess, which I would prefer not to remember.
Fair enough. I just have one more. I suppose it's not a great surprise that Wilfred Zaha was named the Fans Player of the Season or Fans Player of the Year this week. I just wondered how you felt his game had evolved and developed over the past 12 months.
Yeah, it's constantly evolving. He's more and more aware of the need to bring about the end products to his game. He's always been a good assister in terms of providing penalties and assists for goals, but he's working very hard now to make certain he chips in with goals of his own, and that's clearly shown by the fact he's our top goal scorer this season and has done pretty well even in the general goal scoring table. And I think that he's becoming more and more aware of what's required from him and how he can best use his skills for the team's benefit. And that's something I think you would expect from someone who's now probably in his best footballing years. He's, if I'm not mistaken, he's about 28. I'm not even certain exactly what age he is, but he's around about the 28-year mark, which is really the time when players should be producing their best football. And I'm pleased for Wilf that the fans have seen it that way, to vote him their player of the season.
Good stuff. Thank you very much.
All right, Paul.
Very best wishes for Christmas and the season.
Same to you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. I think that ends the broadcast section. Unless PA have got a question.